slight range advantage, and you can dodge out on a lot of the abilities just using the tumble in that sort of sense. But even though they had a good early game, I think Vayne is still pretty damn risky in terms of a team fight with these unkillable frontliners, and just with the Renekton splitting up the team fight so well. So that didn't really work through, but it was a pretty interesting experiment, I would say, for TT. Now, like you guys said, I do think that TT's best way is probably to play around sort of their mid-jungle type of range and kind of still put Sam D on the best roles that we've seen him on B5, where it was more about the utility. I think things like the Jhin might be more in his wheelhouse this time, but you know, the meta is about how you answer Kai'Sa, and the simplest answer is just to take her away.
And we don't talk about hovers just yet, as the Olaf is picked and locked in for the side of TT. So trying to give Bless a little bit of more early game agency. Of course, Olaf banned in the first game, was not banned in the second. We actually see the bans, will go quickly through them here. Pantheon, Camille, and Tristana all banned by TT, while Zoe, Twisted Fate, and Talia banned by LNG. So we are going to see different jungle matchups, and the Nidalee is going to be the favorite here for LNG.
Yep, the Nidalee definitely still on the top of the priority list, right around with Olaf. I would say both of these junglers are S+ tier. And now's the interesting question, because Kai'Sa is still open and available. TT have definitely put a lot of thought on this question on how we're going to counter out the Kai'Sa, how are we going to punish her in lane, how are we going to punish her in teamfights. They already have the Olaf, which in the LPL, we all know, is pretty much specifically used to just run down that bottom lane where you don't have a lot of mobility on the champions, and you typically only have crowd control and not damage to dissuade the ganks. So LNG is setting up for an interesting thing right here. They're basically saying, hey, we're setting up for Aphelios, we're setting up for Aphelios, but they still might just go for the Kai'Sa and play out a kind of similar game that they did in game 1. So I like this. This is pretty interesting. They're kind of goading them with the Thresh. They're leaving their options open as to whether they actually hard commit for the Aphelios like we see most teams do, or whether they can still hard pivot back into something like the Kai'Sa.
Well, yeah, we see the Misfortune locked in there as well, so huge AoE teamfight damage for Sam D if he is able to get it off. One of the things we have seen of recent days is with that, you know, Misfortune pick, yes, you get lane priority, yes, you're able to kind of get that early advantage, but the big AoE teamfight that you want as a Misfortune is very hard to get, as it's quite easy to get onto the backline, as we've discovered, for the side of pretty much any team that's going against it. But LNG, they lock in the Aphelios, like you said, looks like they're setting up for it. Definitely a safe option to go for, considering the Thresh is already locked and loaded, and you've got a decent amount of poke with the Nidalee for Tarzan as well. But the bans coming in now, you can see the Leona going to be banned away. You can imagine LNG probably going to ban the Alistar as well, just to get that one completely off the board. And for TT, probably going to focus towards getting that Renekton a decent top lane match.
This is super interesting, because I'm not sure that in this game Ale actually wants to go for a Bruiser's sort of top laner. I do imagine something like the Gnar being pretty high priority because he can frontline as well. But if you are running this hyper carry Aphelios with the likes of Thresh, with someone that's very squishy and doesn't provide frontline like the Nidalee, you are typically just looking for a tank. And, you know, Ale could definitely just go for an Ornn. So this is kind of an interesting ban away from TT. They're thinking definitely about banning the Gnar, making sure that, you know, Ale can't play that way. But actually they leave both options open and go for the Lucian ban, which is more in Icon's wheelhouse. Definitely an interesting choice right here. Lucian is one of those picks that in preseason, everyone just says that, oh, he's so good, he can go into multiple lanes, he's super dangerous. But in terms of competitive, really not showing up that huge and not having that good of a win rate overall. So this is a pick that I'm kind of curious about. I don't feel like LNG was going to go for the likes of Lucian when they already had like a double carry set up anyway.
Whoa, whoa.
What?
I'll stop you right there. Seraphine locked and loaded for the side of TT. I think this is the first one of LPL, definitely. I'm not sure about competitive, but definitely the first one we've seen in the LPL.
Yeah, this is going to be a super fun one. Seraphine is a champion that we have seen people actually do well in solo queue with. I was watching the likes of Lehens did play it quite a bit to good effect. But the thing is that she requires a very specific style of play. She typically runs Guardian, and we have seen some pretty interesting choices in her summoners. A lot of people do actually run Barrier just to get the heal off of her E earlier. And that's kind of where her main strength is. Seraphine's definitely a champion that if you play, then you definitely main. It's a champion that you have to be extremely devoted to in terms of mastering her, and she's quite difficult to actually learn because he plays very differently. And the reason I'm seeing this, I think we're going to see a super strong poke in terms of the bottom lane. You do get extra range from the notes onto her as well. So you could very much do something like a EQ combo coming in from the Misfortune just to try and chunk the Aphelios out early.
And as well, like the very interesting thing about, Seraphine is that, yes, she's got kind of I would say a subdued kind of, laning phase overall, just kind of a standard sustained support. But when it comes to those team fights, you land that encore, which not only gains its own, kind of distance when it hits an enemy champion, but also when it hits allied champions. So you can use it through the back end of a team fight while keeping your backline safe and sound and just pushing forward with this massive AoE charm. It's absolutely huge if you can get it off right. But the thing is, there's probably a massive reason we haven't seen Seraphine in the meta right now, because there are a lot of ways you can catch her out. But against the Thresh, if he lands one good hook, Seraphine, I think, has one of the lowest, HP bars in the game, starting off in those first 6 levels.
You generally don't see enchanters in the meta right now whatsoever. Because the meta is still very much about, contesting scuttles. We see a lot of things like the Alistar and Leona. Those kind of are their mainstay in the opposing role. So it's actually very difficult for you to have a good early game with this. And this is something that I want to see actually how TT do play around, because they have a bot lane that is set up very much to push. Karma's going to push, their bot lane with Seraphine's going to push, and maybe they can do jungle invades with the Olaf. So super interesting setup, really turn the meta on its head. We have to see if it's going to work or not.
We'll have to wait and see. The Gyos ring through as we jump into game 2. And I have a little tidbit of information for you on base health as I talk about it. She is definitely in the bottom 10, but actually might be just above it. But do you know who has the lowest base health in the game?
Let me guess. It's
From
the
level
person
1?
who she replaced.
Take a guess.
It has to be Sona.
It is not, unfortunately. Sona is not far off it. It's actually Kled,
that
340.
Look,
base
I
health.
knew that, but I wasn't going to mention that because that doesn't really count. Because Skarl doesn't count as base
Fair,
health.
but do you know? True, very
that's
true.
kind of a
But do you know who has the second lowest? If we're not including Kled, then do you know who has the second?
Probably
lowest?
Ashe.
It's not. It's not. It's Nami 475, just ahead, just below Anivia at 480 and Sona at 480. So definitely close towards that bottom. You can see a couple of people there. Seraphine has 500, so not too far away as we see that now happening in the bot side. And this full poke bot lane is going to be very, very interesting to keep an eye on, because if they can get ahead of this Aphelios, it's going to be very difficult for Light and Iwandi to make anything happen in this bot side.
You know what I just realized? Champions without real legs have very, very, very low HP. Nami, the likes of Sona,
Anivia
and Seraphine.
Yeah,
I
love the way
they skip leg day. That's why they have low
real
HP.
legs. Yeah, it's like they just don't do their legs at all. So it's just like you're losing muscle, you're losing HP. It makes sense. It all makes sense. But overall, I'm curious to see the runes. Thank you very much, production, for popping this one up here. Going on with the garden, pretty bog standard, cosmic insight, and the biscuits as well. So curious to see how this kind of Seraphine works for both sides. But as I say that, though, we can actually see a bit of like horizontal jungling, or vertical jungling, excuse me, as we see both junglers just kind of taking over on each side of
So I do want to talk about this rune choice. Getting a shield on yourself as Seraphine is very, very important, because with surround sound, once you have a shield on yourself, the second cast of it will actually heal your entire team. And that's mainly what people use Seraphine for. She's kind of like a poke engine that keeps your entire team sustained very well. And I will have to say, with that priority, TT is looking for something in the bot side.
Yeah, they're going to go for it. TPs are coming in. TT going to just back away. They get the summoner out. Bless was there and ready to go. So that gives Tarzan a little bit of a push in this mid lane. So they will, at the bare minimum, deny minions. But the plan from TT is solid. Focus bot, get this Misfortune going, and use Captain and Teen to keep Sam D
This is
alive.
what I talked about during the drafting phase, is that it looks like TT are going to play Prio bot and Prio mid at the same time, and just make sure that the Olaf can continuously just go into the enemy jungle and farm up onto the bottom side of the map. We did see Tarzan very cleverly actually understanding that the trade was happening. He didn't want to lose out on anything, so if you look at the top side, he did go into that, sweep that one out completely, and actually found himself quite a decent CS lead in that scenario. So, kind of reading up the game plan pretty well. And I think this also kind of explains the Jace pick as well. The Jace pick, we have seen a lot in the LCK where they use defensive Jace picks. It's not really about how they can dominate the lane. It's just about the fact that he's kind of hard to kill when he has such a strong early level 1, level 2. And in this sort of a situation, that's kind of Ale's role. Is he's not going to get much jungle support right here, but he can just kind of put pressure onto the top side, and they're going to try and split the map that way.
And I agree with you. You know, you look at the two different types of Jace. The Chad LPL Jace versus the nerd LCK Jace. Yeah, it looks good and defensive, but we like it to be aggressive here. We like them kind of going in hard, and that's exactly what you want to be seeing from something like a Jace pick, in my opinion, as well. Just because you have got those early levels, you have got the early advantage once you hit level 3. Just because your kit just lends itself just being able to bully out people in range and melee.
Yeah, that definitely is the case right here. We do see Bless again heading towards the top side. He's going to finish up his clear. He actually does pick up all the minions that Tarzan didn't finish the first round for him. And I think we're going to see the exact same play just develop over and over again where TT, they just look to push out their mid and jungle, and they're going to try and find things on the bottom side whenever they can. This is definitely spotted out, and unfortunately for LNG, I think they need to back off.
Yeah, you got to be very, very careful there with the beat drop coming down. Can just do a huge amount as well with the surround sound, the Q and the W combination, but the W and E combination. But definitely something that can, you know, keep all of TT very, very healthy. Keep at the side of LNG at arm's length. We'll wait to see now with the Dragon not really being looked at right now. Where do both teams want to go? You can see Blessed, as you said, like exactly what you said, just wants to be trying to mucking towards the spot side, putting pressure onto Light and Iwandi to see if he can make this Seraphine Misfortune bot lane work.
Yeah, so the mid lane 2v2 is going to be pretty important in this one, just to make sure that Icon can always actually catch up to Captain if Captain does decide to roam. But Tarzan this time around is actually not going to go for that. He's actually just going to go for the top lane as the fight is popping off.
Oh, it's the ally now being jumped on top of Chalitzi. Trying to outplay this one, brings him straight into Tarzan. Nicely played there by the top jungle duo of LNG. Beautifully set up. They get themselves the kill and the summoners.
Oh, that was such a beautiful flash away from the likes of Ale. Actually dodges out on the damage coming in from Chalitzi. I wasn't sure if Ruthless Predator was down or used already right there, but he does flash towards his jungler, does get out, and equalizes out on the play actually quite well right there.
Very, very nicely done there by the LNG jungle duo on top. But does mean that Dragon does go over in favor of TT. We saw them do this kind of very similar trade in the last game. Give up topside pressure, gain those early Dragons with the bot side pressure that you have, and try and just snowball those Drakes. For Bless, feel like he wants to try and make something happen in this bot lane. Very difficult right now, considering just how respectful this, you know, Iwandi-like duo is being. And with someone like a Thresh, it's very difficult for them to make anything happen because he can just stand so many, you know, lengths away from the tower or from wherever they're like pressuring and just throw out the lantern whenever he needs to get light out.
But I will say there is a combo I'm going to be super excited to watch. It is the Encore plus bullet time combo. You're walking in and using your face to catch all those bullets as Misfortune rains down on you. That sounds like an extremely fun way to kind of blow open the bottom lane.
Curious to see if they can make it work and make it happen. And overall, apart from that first blood, which was just a very nice little outplay there from Ale, nothing really too crazy going to be seen. Teen still waiting to see if he can hit that level 6, get that Encore going. And the one thing I see with like Seraphine as well, it's very easy to tell when she's ready. She's kind of like Annie, but with like a little bit of you know, a hidden kind of telegraph stun. She can just throw out the double beat drop, which of course can get them the stun or the root, excuse me. But overall, you're not guaranteed that she can use it for wave clear, use it for shielding and healing. It's just it's like a mantra Q for or mantra ultimate from Karma on a passive. So very hard to tell, but at the same time, you know, once it's locked and loaded, I feel like LNG will play pretty respectful and just keep backing themselves away. But well, that's all happening. Blue buff says, "Oh, sorry lads, I don't need to be disturbing you." Resets going back. There is a shock blast coming down. So 2 objectives in favor of TT, as the rest of LNG are just trying to secure some farms, some plates down in the bot
Super
side.
interesting move right here. TT did recall with the wave pushed in completely on the side of LNG's map, so they're actually able to roam their bottom lane towards the objective first. LNG, you can see their support and their AD carry not able to move away from that lane. And this is honestly so refreshing. This is reminding me a lot how RNG are kind of like shifting around the meta and playing their own style of macro. This is TT kind of doing the same thing. We haven't seen teams or top teams in the LPL index into bot lane priority this heavily in a very, very long time. Like both of our world champions, they're basically solo lane teams. And to see this type of use of the bot lane priority is kind of a lost art in the LPL so far.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like it's, as you say, a callback to the olden times. And what a time to do it, considering the top of our table is EDG, RNG, and Team WE. To hark back to a slightly weirder time in the LPL's history where everyone was, you know, competitive and we just kind of threw everything at the wall and see what happened. But overall, still decent enough kind of, you know, gold differential between both teams. Only about 300 gold. Sorry, 1,200 gold in favor of LNG. So not a million miles away for TT, and I like this from TT. They're not just blindly going in, trying to contest absolutely everything that Tarzan's going for, and vice versa from LNG. They're not just blindly trying to contest everything. They're trying to do trades. They're trying to make sure that they're coming out at bare minimum equal when they're losing something on the other side of the map.
They've definitely been reading the plays, but I would say that it's very strongly on TT's favor right now. You can see how LNG is very much worried about the bottom lane play. They've set up a lot of wards for that, an extreme amount of vision going down onto the bot side just to make sure Bless can't walk in onto the bot lane. And I do like what TT has done so far. You know, you talked about them being a super new team. A lot of people don't even know that their full name is actually just Thunder Talk Gaming. So it's kind of a fun one.
It's such a great name. I just feel like if they ever get like a huge team fight, I'm just gonna go bring the thunder, and I'll say it like really epically, just because it's like the only time I'll ever get to say it.
Yeah, I do want to see if they go for like thunder themed champions a little bit more. You know, just roll in with the volley bear and stuff like that. Stay on theme, stay on message.
I honestly would love to see it, and Volley Bear, not a bad pick either. Has fallen a little bit out of favor considering all the other top lane champions that we've seen. A lot more of Renekton and Ornns, definitely a lot more Jace as well. Just jumps in, takes himself a nice little plate, so getting as much of an advantage as we can. But I want to look quickly at the jungle, because right now you can see with Bless having put all those pressure onto the... Oh, he's a little bit too early. Shockwave going to be used to drag two people down. Icon has to use that one defensively. Tarzan a little bit late to the play, but getting the TP out and only using the Shockwave, Icon will be relatively happy with that trade.
Does leave the door open for TT to kind of just go into the Dragon Pit. As you can see right now, bot lane, they're always going to have priority. They know that the Orianna Shockwave isn't there anymore, so they are going to just start this. We do have Captain with the teleport. They lose nothing right here. And LNG are going to be the ones that are hard-pressed to stop this one. SamD does take a lot of damage, though.
Ooh. A lot of damage, and you can see they're maybe going to use this as a little bit of a go sign. Team takes another spear. Tarzan can just keep chucking these ones out. He's a no pressure in terms of his mana. Rift Herald gets dropped in towards mid, and Icon has to be a little bit careful. Can't just walk the shortcut way. Has to go all the way around. So they will be able to use this Rift Herald as pressure. TP just about coming off of cooldown for Chalitza as well. So both top laners will have it available for this potential fight. Light's gone back down towards that bot side to try and push in that minion wave and get some more plates back for himself. And overall, both teams just posturing around a potential dragon fight.
We do have to remember that LNG cannot group up behind their own towers at this point. The wombo combo potential coming out from the likes of SamD and Teen will instantly wipe the team. So I actually like what LNG did right there. They knew they only needed one person underneath the mid lane tower just to clear the Herald, not risk it too much. And also the bot lane push was very indicative of a team that doesn't want to be stuck into kind of that five-man situation. So they diffused that beautifully.
Yeah, definitely got the diffuse down as everyone just kind of resets. You can see the Olaf going back towards his jungle. And the rest of LNG reset as well. Overall, feels like it was a positive for TT, though. They bring the goal back to just, again, similar 1,000. They're not really losing anything, but at the same time, they're not gaining a huge amount either. So very, very reminiscent to the game one where LNG didn't really get a huge amount of lead off, but it still felt like they were kind of coming out a little bit on top, especially in these early games.
I will be honest, I'm kind of surprised that TT's actually behind this much gold. Because they've actually been moving more, having the better objective control, but it has just been because of his laning phase, and most of it actually does come from mid. You know, Icon just being able to CS better and holding the fort down with that 1k advantage there. Meanwhile, on the top side, I actually think it's the opposite of the story. Chalice has been doing very, very well with Tarzan around his lane and him giving over the first blood to his opponent. He's actually up in CS, and honestly, to play this way and only give up one turret plating in this matchup against jungle pressure is very impressive.
Team taking a little bit of an unfavorable trade, down to about 1/4 of his HP while the tower is being pressured. Light does go aggressive with the Gale Force. Not able to follow up anything else. They did burn the Ragnarok, though, from Bless. He had to burn that one, because if he got caught by the Gravitum, he was almost certainly going to die on the tower. Light, don't need to be careful. The Encore, their bullet time, not quite able to get him off there. Has to burn his heal and his flash, but that's almost certainly going to be the tower in favor of TT. Almost getting the wombo combo off, but you can see just how incredibly powerful it can be.
The execution is just as good as we imagined right there. It's actually a very easy combo to kind of set up, and you can also use your teammates to increase the range onto that charm right there. You can make the enemy team actually just walk into the bullet time, which just makes, I think it makes tower defense basically impossible. And, you know, I think the comp that LNG kind of drafted for themselves is very, very fragile, and it actually falls down to this type of wombo combo super easily. So what LNG actually have to establish on the map throughout this game is they are going to have a winning side lane. They cannot actually play the 5v5 in the mid game and expect to just outpoke with it. You have Seraphine that, honestly, this is so smart from their composition. You have the Seraphine shields. You're going to have the Karma shields that were just recently buffed. They do 200 extra shielding to the entire team. So this team is actually pretty poke resistant, and they have a great wombo combo that would decimate you if you try to siege poke them 5v5. So a lot is actually riding on that top lane in Olive. Olive has to be the one to kind of split the TT comp away from each other.
And it's all about this poke. You know, you look at these, champions on the side of LNG. You've got the Nidalee, you've got the Jace. These champions are not about going in for a 5v5. They are about just whittling your health bar down. And like you said, for Team to go with the Seraphine, having that surround sound, the W just being able to come down, shield people up, heal them back up. Yes, it's an absolutely insane cooldown early, but overall, it's still a very, very, big kind of thing for the side of TT to just mitigate a lot of what LNG want to do.
This is probably a great usage of Seraphine. This is definitely something I felt like TT Gaming has practiced quite well. They put it into a composition where everything really makes sense. The lane priority makes sense. The engage makes sense. They have a combo to set it up with perfectly. And also the sustain against the poke composition also is super beautiful. So they have all the right circumstances lined up for this Seraphine pick to really steal the show. She's going to get an Anchor from me, no matter what.
I see. Oh my God, Clement. Such a man of words, just able to weave poetry into your casting. There's the Encore coming out. It does land down onto the Orianna, and they're trying to catch her out. There's the pick, and now the 5v4 can really ensue. They have to drop the box to try and disengage everybody, and LNG do not get the tower in mid lane. It goes very low, but it does not fall, and overall, TT, they'll take that. That's the kind of power you were talking about with this Encore.
This is what I was talking about with TT having the better composition against the likes of LNG. LNG, I thought they should have had a tank top laner. Instead, they went for the poke composition, and they cannot set sieges in front of TT whatsoever. TT is going to blow them up in a single instant. What LNG have to do is they have to make sure they actually have side lane advantage. Tarzan has to be super fed. Ale has to be super fed. I think their answer is try to play a two-man game and just make sure that TT can't group for wombo combo.
And it's so difficult. I can't even really blame Icon for that, because it's so difficult to tell how long the Seraphine Encore will actually reach as we go to look at it here. It goes just through different places. If it goes through your allies, it gains range, and it actually doesn't even go through anyone, just straight up hits them and goes a little bit further. So I have to say that Icon might be a little bit of fault there, but overall, there's not a lot you can do once you're charmed. It's over. Yeah,
there really isn't much you can do in that situation. And just to drop a little bit of information, the Seraphine ultimate at base range is already 1200. So it's extremely easy to catch someone with that, and it gets further extended by 15%. Actually, I'm sorry, not by 15%. By all of the enemies and the ally champions as well. So it's actually super easy to just set up a chain where you can catch all of the poke champions one by one.
Yeah, it resets its remaining travel distance, so that means that you get an extra little bit off it. So it's definitely one of those. You can see the extra length that got off it, but Hook lands down onto Captain. The bullet time separates the fight. The Encore comes over and catches Toon. Light is dead, so Tarzan takes themselves the Lantern. This is the pick, but now you don't have some big ultimates out for this dragon fight, and a couple of low health bars, a couple of spears, a couple of shock blasts. This could be dangerous for TT, but it looks like LNG, they've got to respect the crocodile.
Tarzan has to be with one to pull out the miracle right here. This is going to be the third dragon incoming for TT. If he cannot find a spear, I really don't think they have great chances in this game.
Nice shockwave lands on the SAMD and Chalitza. Dragon goes over in favor. They do lose one, so overall it's a 1-for-1 trade. Flash Flay, flash away by Teen. The Hook comes out, absolutely nowhere to be found though. 1-for-1, but overall TT gained the Dragon, and that's what's important.
That is the crucial thing that they're looking for, and we talked about this a lot. Teams on blue side, when they have that Drake stack, all they need to look for is covering those ramps. And if you look at the abilities right here, Chalitza can sit on a ramp, Encore can cover up another one. It's going to be super hard for LNG to ever come near this Dragon Pit. The only thing they can honestly just do is hope they get lucky like the last time they did. Find a poke onto SamDD before the Drake fight even starts, and that's kind of their only out at this point. Chalitza just did such a good job in the top lane actually defending against the split map situation that at this rate Jace can't even side lane split push either. So it's going to be such a rough time here. And just to take a look at this fight again, the first couple of spears do whiff. I think they had a lot of patience on TT side. They made sure that they secured the Drake. At least the jungler stayed there to get the main objective. Sure, they do lose one, but nobody is able to walk down that ramp past the likes of the Renekton, and that's exactly how they're going to play it in the next Drake fight as well.
Ooh, it's definitely looking a lot better in game 2 for TT at this mid-game stage, and they've equaled out the gold. They've got themselves on the soul point, and these are fantastic positives for a team that myself and Dagda were talking about. We didn't have a lot of high hopes for these guys. You know, they had a pretty high ceiling, but from the first series we saw, they looked like they were directionless, didn't know where they wanted to go. This game is a complete turnaround for this team, and honestly, it's going to make it so much better for them if they can continue these improvements, because this, honestly, I'm so impressed right now just from this one series alone.
The level of thought that went into that last pick, Seraphine, is just... it's so amazing. I love games like this where not only they showcase a new champion, but they showcase a new champion in a composition that makes sense and in a matchup that's favorable. To get those two things down at the same time is almost impossible. You can't even do that with champions that you're very familiar with half of the time. So to do that with a completely new champion, to find the exact setting that they want to use it in, you have to give a thumbs up to TT. That's just great work in the drafting.
Yeah, and having the Karma as well does keep the Renekton and the Misfortune relatively safe, so very easy for them to kind of move forward, take a little bit of damage, re-heal it back up. Not the biggest issue at the time, and we can see, ooh, the Moonlight Vigil does not hit anybody. Big whiff there from Light. They gain a tower, they defend the bot lane, or the mid lane tower. Everything's coming up positive for TT. We shouldn't really see another fight for another 2 minutes as we fight around that Ocean Soul, but overall, TT, they're dictating the pace. They're the ones pushing for their advantages, and they're the ones coming out on top.
This Jace pick is biting them in the ass so damn hard. They had a 5-man stack onto mid lane and a tower that had less than 100 HP, and they couldn't do anything about it. None of the poke was able to stick. They couldn't actually wave clear past TT, and I was saying this during the laning phase that LNG, your win conditions cannot be poke. This is not going to work out for you guys. You guys have to play a 2-man game with Ale. You guys have to do the split push. And I don't think they got the memo. They've tried this once now. Maybe that will enlighten them to their position. They cannot hard force this composition.
Captain taking a much better trade than Icon in that top side. Both mid laners have got TP, so they may be able to kind of jump into this one. 1:20, and you can see LNG already setting up. They don't care that they're losing out on farm. They don't care they're losing out on map pressure. They need to stop this dragon, because as a poke comp, if you give up Ocean Drake, there is so little room for you to be able to make things happen. It almost becomes nigh impossible for you to change the result, because even if you get all the spears at max range, all the shock blasts, it doesn't matter because they just auto attack and they heal it back up.
There's way too much healing right here, and like we were talking about with the Karma buffs, you can actually, the base healing alone is over like 1,000 on your entire team. It's actually just 1,000 on your entire team. So you're going to be able to negate all of that poke right there. What they need to make sure they do for TT is just make sure that they can actually just keep those ramps covered very, very well. They have a lot of slowdowns right here. Light is probably going to have to use the Dark Passage pretty soon. I like what LNG has done here, but I'm a little bit confused at what TT are doing. If I was TT, I wouldn't really mind the mid push because the mid tower is already so low. So I don't actually care if LNG take my mid tower. I'm not letting them get positioned over me. However, this is exactly what they did. Chalitza is going in.
Oh, here we go. The Encorn hits, and they are trying to go in with the bullet time as well. Moonlight Vigil back on top of Chalitza. Nobody dies. Big ultimates used. And the dragon has only just spawned. Now, what do you want to do? The beat drop, though, lands on top of the Jace. The shockwave, though, answer does knock back Bless and Sam D. Heal has to come out from Sam D, who is now summonerless alongside Lights. The 80 carries still without their summoners. Captain and Icon still have theirs. So now you can see TT, they don't want to trade for Baron. They don't want to trade for mid lane priority. They want this Ocean Soul. Ale trying to go back so we can TP maybe back into this. Hasn't got a huge amount of mana. Teen just heals back up all that poke. The box goes down to try and stop Chalitza from roaming in. He jumps straight onto Tarzan and you go in. That's the Ocean Soul over to TT as they try and just run away and take their spoils. They will give up Bless, but it is an easy trade to make if you're on the side of TT. You just got the Dragon Soul.
I have to be honest, I absolutely detest the way that TT had played this one. I think they're engaged into a part of the map where they have zero vision and just the willingness to kind of gamble and blow all of their ultimates on that one. That was so questionable on my end, but thankfully enough, LNG did not actually find the poke to dissuade the likes of TT to actually get the Drake anyway. And now TT are in a super comfortable position. They're going up against a poke comp where they have great engage, they have great shielding, and they have unlimited healing as well on the same thing. And Tarzan is stuck here.
Oh, the beat drop does land. You have to be so careful with that. And LNG, they're scrambling. They're panicking a little bit. It looks like they don't really know where they want to go. It felt like they could have just reset, maybe forced the Baron there, but then they tried to hard force it. They didn't have the mana or the health bars. They end up really just getting a scuttle and walking away, you know, Leonardo da Vinci in the top side of River, but it's just not really working out for them. And Ale, you're going to jump straight in on top of Chalitza. I don't think he can kill him, even with as much damage as he has.
Definitely isn't going to be the case. This early laning phase, I'm not sure what exactly went wrong, but the Jace definitely should have been more ahead than he actually was. He was actually down in CS in the lane in a split map situation. So that just kind of tells you that whatever Chalitza did, maybe Ale was just a bit rusty coming into his first game onto the Rift, but he definitely did not punish that lane enough. And you have to remember, this Jace was a last pick. It was a red side counter pick last pick. So you have to make those work. And if you're losing in CS, even with jungle support, the laning phase must have went wrong. I'm not exactly sure where, but it did. So we're not really seeing this two-man game kind of form up, and it's going to come to Icon to actually help out.
I feel like Tarzan was just so busy counter jungling that he kind of forgot that, yes, fair enough, Bless is always on the bot side, but you can make things happen in the top side. You can force, with the Jason Nidalee, just so much poke and damage, and even underneath the turret, Chalitza shouldn't have been able to stay alive, but felt like they just gave maybe a little bit too much respect to the Renekton, gave a little bit too much time, and now, like you said, this Jace pick, even with all the damage, the Eclipse, the Manamune, or the Muramana, it doesn't really matter right now because it doesn't equate to any kind of an advantage because the Chalitza's never going to die.
Yeah, with the Gore Drinker, he's incredibly difficult to kill right here. LNG, they don't have a lot of great engage tools if you just look at their 4-man, and they don't have a lot of tankiness either. So, we're going to see the teleport come down.
Oh, they are going to go for a captain just sprinting here on top of Ale. Should have his gate in a moment. Does land the stun though. Nice flash on top of him, and Ale knows he is dead to rights. He's going to try and trade this back as best he possibly can, but there's just only so much you can do in a 2v1 as a Jace. He does go down. This is a 6-kill game, but I got to admit, this doesn't feel boring. This feels like a high action-packed game with everyone just doing it to the best of their ability.
That was just a great response on the side of TT. I really love what Captain did right there. He read the conditions perfectly. His side of the map, there's no threat from LNG whatsoever. The best they can do is tag someone with the Thresh hook, and even though they did find the Thresh hook, it wasn't even on the right target. So he's able to just make a super quick teleport towards the bot side, pick up that kill, and almost the same thing is going to happen in the top too. Can Icon actually get away from this?
Oh, Icon, he's got caught 100% overextended. They're actually going to commit another TP play, but he's running away. But he's on the wrong side of the map. Now, what can you do if you're LNG? Do you try save him? Do you just push into that mid lane to finally get it? Looks like it's going to be the mid lane push in favor of them. You can see them pinging down on top of it. The rest of TT here to defend it, but I think it's almost certainly going down. Icon will fall. That's a kill over to Captain, his first of the game. And now the Baron might be a very real problem right now because Icon does not have teleport. He cannot join straight off spawn, and he's dead for 40 seconds.
And LNG, realistically, they can't really move down the ramp. The best they can hope for is just try to poke and steal the Baron in this situation. So I know there's a ton of Tarzan fans in the chat right now. If you want LNG to just take this series, you know, you're going to have to bet on that man to steal the big purple worm.
Oh, doesn't matter though, because Tarzan just about gets himself alive. Chalitza has to go golden with his stopwatch, trying to keep himself alive. Slice and dices beautifully. Can Tarzan get into the pit to be able to take this one here? He can't jump over the wall because he was too slow by the beat drop, and that is Baron to the side of TT. It looked a little bit dicey for them, but overall, they get the objective and they get out.
I like the way that LNG played that. They didn't try to go for the ramp. The whole time, they tried to just poke out underneath the objective, but you have to say, Chalitza did one-up them in that situation. He flashes straight forward, and he actually gets the flash out of Tarzan. That was super critical because that meant Tarzan couldn't actually just, he had a lot of, he had more cooldowns to deal with in order to get the pants over the wall. Doesn't actually make it in the very end, and Bless is able to secure the Baron in the meantime. So full pushing power over to TT. They're going up against a team that doesn't have a lot of tankiness. If they try to 5-man, it's probably just going to be a wombo combo right underneath LNG's own towers.
I feel like for Ale as well, he was on bot by the time that Baron started, and he had to TP in, which meant he was about 3 or 4 seconds behind the play in terms of throwing in the poke, getting everyone set up and ready to go for any kind of TT shenanigans. And honestly, it's those little small mistakes that are being the curse of LNG so far this game. And TT, they're punishing them very, very nicely. Definitely rough around the edges, but these are massive, massive positives. And like here, look, they thought that LNG thought that TT were going to straight up go for the Elder Drake. It's like, we don't need the Elder Drake. We have Baron, and we're going to crack open your inhibitors.
That was a pretty nice gamble on LNG. I don't think they would have been able to defend anyway in sort of this situation, but they are going to try for a comeback fight.
Trying to go for a comeback. Captain, it's one more auto attack. He does get hit by the Q of Light. Now the chase can come in. This is where it's dangerous for TT. If you keep getting hit by all these different small little moments, flash into the skies, lands the Q. The flash has to be used by Bless to keep himself away from that hook. But Teen is dead. The Seraphine is down, which means that this dragon is almost certainly going to go over to LNG. They haven't gotten a single one all game, but they may be able to take the most important
one. This is the LPL special. Get 4 dragons and then do a dumb throw where you give away the most important of the dragons, the Elder Dragon. You know, with the execute on it, we actually have seen teams come back from deficits like that. I remember the IG game where Ning basically lost all his smites in one game, but he just found that one Elder Dragon, and they were able to snowball a massive team fight to just end this. So looking at the map control, TT are still very much ahead, but for the next couple 150 seconds, they are not going to be wanting to touch LNG whatsoever. You know, a great find right here, does get the shockwave onto Captain, and then the Gal Force does go in to just kind of finish him off. This was a little bit of a weird play from TT. I definitely felt like Sam D could have tried to drop his ultimate here and try to dissuade the push in from LNG, but LNG just gets one pick after another, kind of in an unlikely scenario where they're pretty far behind, and you know, they give themselves the Elder Drake, so miracles can definitely happen.
This is the LPL, the League of Miracles, if you will. LNG now only 1,500 gold down, which is basically nothing. Your Aphelios is on 3 items. You've got 3.5 items onto your Jace. You are looking very, very strong. There's, you know, advantages of 1,000 or so gold. And they say that, though, they land a fantastic Encore. Landed on top of Ale, and he is deleted from the map. That means they're going to have less potency with this Elder Drake, and it's just so difficult to know where this game is going. Both sides not willing to give an inch.
That was so very unexpected. Ale definitely didn't see TT actually trying to contest them while they had the Elder Dragon, and Teen just had a great ultimate. It lined up with two of his teammates, was able to travel the entirety of the distance, actually go beyond that, and just catch out Ale, who had no flash because he burned it in the previous team fight. So just really well done by TT to get that coordination down.
This game is so close. Is it going to be LNG taking it 2-0, or will TT be able to pick up their first game win in the LPL? Right now, you still got to favor TT just with how these things have been going. Yes, they lost the Elder Drake, but it does not matter because when it came down to everything else, the Elder Drake basically didn't do anything. It didn't give them anything on the side of LNG. It was a denial rather than an actual resource for the side of LNG. So overall, still very close, but TT, you've got to favor them.
Yep, and the game plan for TT, honestly, is just so damn simple right now. The Elder Dragon is going to run down. You have no qualms about just taking the opponent team down 5v5. So what I want to see for them is just set up a slow push onto this bot wave. Make sure you have a 6-man working for you, and then just group mid. It's really as simple as that. Group top, excuse me. It really is just as simple as that. I would really like to see Chalitza, you know, not try to like hard push this, but just get the wave set up, make sure it's already pushing into the enemy tower, make sure you're going to get chip damage with this, and just move towards the top side, join the rest of your team.
And for LNG, I feel like it's all about the poke. It's all about Tarzan and Ale just throwing in those shock blasts, throwing in those spears. Maybe if you're lucky, you're able to get a massive shockwave with Icon and to kind of, you know, set up a decent wombo combo and put everyone in the same position. But it's very much a lot of pressure to put on. They have opportunities. They have, you know, avenues back into this series or back into this game to try and, you know, push back TT, but it's all about how they execute. And I just got to lean on TT. Their comp just lends itself to being executed far easier.
Yeah, and they have a lot of members that can survive poke at this point. If Bless gets tagged, he doesn't really care. The Renekton doesn't really care. Look at that damage from Tarzan. That really is nothing.
That did nothing. That did nothing. That literally did nothing. He healed it back up passively. That's how much nothing it did. You can see it. It does nothing. There's no damage on these spears. That is a 3 or almost 3 item, or sorry, it is a 3 item Nidalee, and it's doing nothing to this Olaf, who is, again, not built full tank. Ooh. Ale, you need to be so careful, buddy. You can't get caught out like that. He will have the healing from the Nidalee, but the mana bars are relatively low. Chalitza trying to roam around, but look at all this vision from the side of LNG. They know the flank might be coming. They back away. They keep the respect going for them. Bot lane is in favor of LNG. They can also shove out that top side as well. So with Baron spawned, it is all about this next team fight. You can see TT, they want to go for a pick, though.
Yep, TT have already set up complete vision advantage over here. They've swept all of these small brushes. They know they have no warding over here, and they're actually just going to go for the 2-man Baron.
Oh my God.
With the Ocean Drake, this is a very viable strategy. The 3 members are still acting out into the mid lane. As long as they don't get caught out here, it should be fine.
They should be all right, but the Baron down to about 2,000 HP should go down. Sorry, it's going to be 3,000 HP. They will get it, but will they be able to keep everyone alive? Teen does fall, but again, that's a trade. Support for a Baron. You take that. That's no problem at all. But now LNG, what can you do with this man advantage?
You had one job, Teen. You had one job. The threshold didn't even land right there. Oh, I can't believe he actually died there to the Gal Force. That's a bit tragic, but the overall situation is still fine. Still very much into TT's favor. They can just start this one again. I really do want to see how Teen actually just got caught out here. So we did see Light actually just use the Gale Force. He actually still holds on to his flash, so he was able to complete that play without expending anything at all. Pretty impressive on his end, you know, just trying to get some silver linings in this game.
We actually see 2, one on either side in terms of items for the Mikhail's Blessing. So one for Seraphine and actually one for the Nidalee. So Tarzan and Teen doing their team some favors, giving them a nice little quick cleanse if they can. The problem with that one, I always suppose, is you have to rely on your teammate to do it for you. You can't just go, oh, I've got a QSS, I can do this whenever I need to. It's like, no, please, I need this. And they might be like, I don't know, might need it on someone else. So have to rely on that one a little bit. Full items coming out pretty much, not full items, excuse me, 3.5 items to 4 coming out for almost everybody on the team. On both sides, the 3,000 gold lead for TT as they push up with this Baron buff into the mid lane. The Dark Passage just coming out, but wisely, LA does not decide to take it. He would have found himself right in the middle of a hell of a lot of different people. Huge shock blast onto Teen. He should be able to sustain it up relatively easily, but This is the kind of poke you need to be very, very wary of now if you're TT. The minions will be able to get taken down very quickly with this Aphelios and Orianna combo. It doesn't look like they need the minions. They should be able to take this inhibitor, no problems whatsoever.
Yeah, really well played by LNG right here. They're scattering out. They're making sure that the Wombo combo can't hit them. And there goes the Encore. This could be LNG's chance to turn things around.
Yeah, Ally does get himself out with the Dark Passage. Chalitza goes in, but he's exhausted immediately. Bullet Time comes down, but it's just not going to hit really onto anybody. Elder Drake has spawned. Tarzan is running to make sure he does not lose the inside line. Teen takes another spear to the face, and this could be the final fight. This is where this team feels like they need to go for this. TP has to be used, but I like this from TT. They're saying, look, we're not going to go straight away for the Elder Drake. We're going to make sure we have pressure in mid lane. We still have Baron, and you still need to respect
TT are very much reliant on their ultimates for this one. So I like this play. They're not trying to fight the 5v5. If they lose the 5v5, the game could just be over. So they're going to pull the fork right on LNG.
This Misfortune will melt turrets. You can see, doesn't quite get either of them down, but that is the pressure you have. Sam D almost taking out a half HP. Tarzan is still here, can throw a couple of spears, but now TT, they've gotten the teleport out of Icon. They have the inside track onto an Elder Drake, but they don't need to use it just yet. They still have Baron for a couple more seconds. They can just keep pulling LNG to and fro, spreading them thin to make sure that they get the best fight they possibly can.
TT are stalling for their ultimates. They do not want the 5v5 until they get that Encore into bullet time combo up once again, and that was such a great play. You know, LNG were basically they had the queen right there, but they were forced to walk away to defend the king. Teen is caught again though.
There's the Encore. Teen is caught, but it's all a big old bait as they catch out Light. He is dead and buried. The Aphelios is no longer here. There's the Misfortune using the ultimate off of cooldown. They're still trying to get Chalitza in. The Shockwave has to come down to keep the Renekton off of the rest of the team. Flash in from Captain onto Iwande, puts the exhaust down onto him as well. But minions in the super minions in the mid lane, gonna be pushing in as quick as they possibly can. You can see Bless trying to just stop any of these backs. These turrets are low. This could be the game going over to TT. They've stopped the backs. It's all down to Icon to try and stop everyone, but I don't think he can. Seraphine will pick up her first win alongside TT, and we're going to a game 3.
Oh, congratulations to TT. I love these textbook style games. If you looked at the laning phase, TT were not actually coming out ahead from their individual mechanics. You know, that was on the side of LNG. Icon was ahead, and even through all their rotations and all their objectives, they were still 2,000 gold ahead.